to learn the power of self-leadership today, creating the life you want. And I'm so excited to be here on Power to the People Pleasers with our guest, Ashlee Livingstone. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Amy. I'm so excited to be doing this chat with you today.
And I know you have your own podcast, so you are a pro at being the interviewee or interviewer. And I get to be the interviewer today with you, and you being the expert of being a leader in your life. I'd love to first understand, we're here, individuals who listen to this podcast are ones who often put themselves last, struggle with that, saying no sometimes, saying yes to lots of things. How has people pleasing shown up for you?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And I think we all have little pieces of it that show up for us. But I guess for me, I want to rewind. And it was a big part of my life, even before I had my son. I worked in a job where I was pretty much expected to please people. And I worked in fundraising, and my donors came first, my boss came first, everything came first. And I really followed, I believe, the path that I thought I should be following, the path that, I kind of was laid out in front of me when I was a kid of, you're going to go to university, you're going to get a job, you're going to work in that job, and then you'll retire. And you'll have like a marriage and kids and all of those things in order. And I did. I just started doing it, and I didn't even realize how much that was for other people, or because that was the path that I thought I should be doing. And it wasn't until I would cry pretty much every day before going to work, or sit in my car and have to pep talk myself out of getting out of the car. And I was struggling with infertility and a high risk pregnancy, that I was like, enough, enough doing things for everybody else, because it's sucking the life out of me. Yeah. And that was, I kind of feel like the first declaration I made to stop doing that as actively.
Love that. I feel the power in those words, and I deeply resonate with your story of following the shoulds. And I think one of the things that really hit me as you were speaking was this horrid word that individuals like me who are on this recovery of being a people pleaser likely resonate with, is the word should. Oh my goodness. How many times did you say the word should right off the bat, right? Like that, I should go here, I should do this, living under that energy, and also recognizing that the should energy translates from one generation to the next generation to the next generation. Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And it's still like, I'm not going to say by any means that I don't every now and then fall into a should, or that as I raise my son now, it doesn't sometimes come out of my mouth. And then I'm like, no. And I try and like slow motion pull it back in. But it's all about awareness, right? And I think that's the other piece too of people pleasing, or this pressure. Like, I sometimes feel like we're all under this pressure cooker of, okay, well, now we can't say should, and I have to be perfect here. And we need to give ourselves permission to just be human, having a human experience, and all the mistakes we make along the way, and all the things we learn.
Yes. Well, and that isn't that the blessing right there, the end of that sentence, all the things that we learn, right? That being a human means we are going to make mistakes, and we have the opportunity to learn from them, right? There's this other component. You also said the word expectations, and I think that's another really big one, that not only do we put on ourselves, but also it's, put on us by others.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about self-leadership and shifting from those expectations?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are motivated by expectations, right? Or I hear people say, well, you have to lower your expectations if you don't want to be disappointed, right? There's so much
Mhm.
wrapped up in that word expectation as well.
Mhm.
And when I started really working on my own self leadership, it was interesting for me to really pay attention to what was an external expectation that I felt was
Mhm.
on me versus my own personal expectations of myself. And
Yeah.
kind of deciphering which one held more clout or value in my life, and focusing there. And it's the ones that you have for yourself,
Yeah.
but it's paying attention and making sure that the expectations you have for yourself are not externally created. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yes. Yeah. Really unpacking and having clarity around what are your expectations, number one.
Yeah.
Where did they come from?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
And
it's
why do you
big.
want them? I think that that's,
Mm.
oftentimes it's like, well, I want to have a good job. Well, why?
Mm.
Well, because I want to feel confident. Okay. So you want that feeling of confidence. Does a good job, is that the only way that you feel confident? Right?
Mm.
Figuring out what other
Yeah.
ways make you feel confident and how can you infuse more of that into your life if that's the feeling you're going for. If it's I want to make more money, well, why? Well, I want to make it easier for my family. Okay, but why? Like, just being really curious about why you want what you want. It's not to say it's wrong, but just make sure you know what the feeling is that you're going after, as opposed to this expectation or this should. Because ultimately,
Mhm.
when you start talking to people, it's like, well, I should be a good mom and make lunches every single day, or I
Mhm.
should want to climb the corporate ladder to make a lot of money, or I should. But really, I want to feel accomplished. Well, what else
Mhm.
makes you feel that way? I want to feel joy. I want to feel connected. When you really dig down, that's how you can make decisions for yourself that are way more in aligned with your expectations and the way you want to live your life.
I love that. So I want to recap the one of the components that you believe is self-leadership, and having that is getting clarity and tuning into what feelings you're aiming after, that you
Mm-hmm.
deeply want to have, and walking through life making decisions about life based on the feelings. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And if you ask a lot of people, what do you want? Like most of them don't know. Or they
Yeah.
they name off a bunch of, box checking canned remarks. Um, but not very many people take the time to really dig down and think, what do I want? And am I doing things every day or every week or every month that bring me closer to what I
Mm.
want? And, I have my top priorities on the fridge. They're there. I look at them every day, multiple times a day. And I've given myself full permission that it's a no, because I'm saying yes to my priorities. So if it is not one of these priorities and
I
it's not
love that.
something that is going to get me closer to those, then it's a no. And it's
Mm.
not a no in a negative way because I'm saying yes to something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Saying no to the good in order to say yes to the great, right? I continue
Yeah.
to remind myself about that same thing. I love that you have your priorities posted on your fridge. I
My
love
son
that.
has his posted on the
Love
fridge too,
I
right?
love that.
we role model as well. And his might not be as detailed as mine. He's 10, but they're there. And I can say, is that decision getting you closer to your goal? Is that decision? And sometimes he's like, no, nope,
And that's
but I'm still
okay.
doing it. I'm like, all right, as long as you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just that piece about self-leadership too, is that really deep self-awareness, right? Do you know, I was at my son's volleyball tournament yesterday, and the whole time I was there, I was like, this does not feel good to me. I don't want to be here. I'm being a good mom. Yeah, sure. I'm showing up. I'm doing all the things. Like, yesterday was a should day. And I sat there and I'm like, I do not feel good here. But I wanted to show up for him. And I left with a learning of, if I'm going to continue to show up to things like this, what do I need to do for me that makes this a better experience for me?
I love that. Let's
Yeah,
repeat
it's
that
not
question.
about anyone else. They're all going to be the
What
same.
do I need? Right? What do I need to do for me? Yes.
Yeah. And I realized I need to have water with me. I need to have probably headphones. I definitely need to have headphones. And I need to create space for myself where people are not on top of me. And I need to chill out a bit. It's a kids' sporting event. It's not professional sports. So these are things that I learned yesterday because I was in a situation that I thought I should go to, and I was ill prepared. I was not prepared to really show up as my best self. But instead of beating myself up about it, I practiced self-compassion and was like, okay, what am I learning? Because this is going to happen again. My kid plays lots of sports. Like, I need to take ownership over how I'm going to show up in this, or don't show up.
Yes, I love that so much, and I love it from the component of being passionate about wellness. Right, the things you listed were water, right, headphones, so important. But I also relate deeply because I'm a mom as well of very sporty kids. I've been at the volleyball or the tweeting and the it's a lot. Right?
It is a lot.
When my son plays goalie, I often watch from a room that's away from everyone else.
Yeah.
So I don't hear the noises. I don't hear the yelling. I'm just present watching, and it makes me feel so much better. And people ask me like, why do you stand by yourself up here? Why? I'm like, this is a place. This is a happy place for me. I'm doing what you're saying. I'm making the experience work for me so I can show up as my best self, because when I sit in the other places, I am not enjoying it as much. I'm feeling the stress. I'm feeling the energy of people's negativity.
All the people. Right? Yeah. And I joke because my son plays rep baseball, and I sit in center field. Baseball is amazing because it's outside. The sound spreads. It's not crowded, and I can sit in center field. And I kept joking. I was like, where is center field in this volleyball court? Where is my center field? But it's like you found your space. I need to find that space. And that's what self-leadership is really about, is knowing what you need to do for you. Most of us don't know that, and we depend on external. We depend on everyone else to adapt or participate in a way that's going to help us. And then we get frustrated and angry about it, and we project. But it has to be you. It really has to be us figuring out how to lead ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. Recognizing that it's not on someone else to make you feel better. It's not on someone else. We have a son in baseball as well. It's not on someone else to make me feel good in that space. It's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. Isn't that the quote?
Yes. And that's the other piece too. It also lets you give yourself permission that you are not responsible for how other people feel, right? That's that people pleasing. We assume we are responsible for how other people feel, and that I'm going to show up to this and it's going to make you feel good. And, I'm going to do this because that's going to make my parents happy. And I'm going to do this and it's going to make my kids happy. And we are putting so much pressure on ourselves. And in turn, in our minds, we think, and now they should do for us.
Yes, that's a huge problem of
We're
mine.
pleasing you, so you should please us. And it doesn't work that way. And how often are we then disappointed because somebody didn't meet our expectations or our shoulds of them?
Yeah,
It
they
goes
didn't
both
reciprocate. I know, this is one of Amy's biggest learnings.
Yeah. But, again, we try not to live in the should, and we try not to live, based on other people's expectations. They can't either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So big. So
annoying.
big. Wow. Yes.
Come
Wouldn't
on.
it be great if we could just have a little programming ability to just shift some of these things that aren't serving us in a really easy way? But it takes effort, it takes work, it takes recognition of, I want to lead myself first at taking that step, right?
Mm-hmm. And giving yourself grace. We are so hard on ourselves.
Yes.
We are so hard on ourselves. And, that practicing self-compassion is such a big piece of self-leadership, of knowing when you're like yesterday, full transparency, I was not my best self yesterday. And my wife was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I don't think I am. I am not. I didn't behave inappropriately, but I was in her ear, and she's just like, I am not okay here. And again, not beating myself up, but more of a, what do I need to do differently? Giving yourself the grace to make the mistakes and then clean up the balls that you dropped and start again, instead of punishing yourself and judging yourself and comparing yourself to everyone else when you have no idea all the things that they're also struggling with. But self-compassion first.
Yes. I'm so with you. So I'd love to learn a little bit more. You are the CEO of Our Forte. Can you tell me a little bit more about what it is that's about?
Yeah. So I always say I'm the chief engagement officer. I love connections. That's one of the reasons why I do what I do. And I love connecting with people and making sure that people feel really engaged in their lives, right? Not just a passive participant, super engaged. And my program right now and my focus is called The Life You Want Right Now. And I say right now because the life you maybe thought you wanted 15, 10, maybe even 5 years ago isn't relevant anymore. And on the flip side, we think so much about our future. What are we going to do at retirement? Or what's going to happen when the kids leave the house? And you try and forecast out. And then you're making decisions based on this future self that may or may not happen. And you might not even care about that in 10 years. So I'm super focused on helping people be engaged in their lives right now and focusing their time, their boundaries, their full body yeses, their absolutely not, on what is important to them right now. And bringing that harmony that so many people are missing in life back to people, helping them discover that.
I love that. Yeah. And there's such a big component of self-leadership in finding that harmony, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's being okay. People talk about balance a lot, and that's why I say the word harmony, because balance to me means 50-50, right? 50% of my time here, 50% of my time here, or 20, 20, 20, 20, however you divide it up so it's even. But harmony to me looks more like this interchangeable flow. That I might have a really heavy work week, and then the next week I might have a heavy family, right? Maybe March break's coming up or spring break's coming up, and I don't do any work. And I'm okay with that. And it's not this trying to get even, but more this harmonious flow that is never going to be 50-50, but I'm going to make choices, again, that are in alignment with my top priorities right now. And my top priorities right now are going to change when my kid doesn't need me to walk him to school, or doesn't want me to walk him to school anymore. All of a sudden, that's not going to be a thing for me. And that's going to shift, and I can do something different. So yeah, I'm very, very focused on the right now life.
I love that. And I really love this idea of using the word harmony instead of balance. I'm going to adopt that.
Awesome.
Courtesy of Ashlee.
Yeah, take it.
Because I see this, people saying, well, I want to have balance in my life, just like her, just like that family. Every family, every human has a different state. And I love this, a different state of harmony. Let's use that word from now on. Right? Because then you're not looking at things having to be equal. I love that so much, because how often does that actually happen? So we're aiming for something.
And then you punish yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you're living again in a should, or in this unrealistic expectation with no real way to get there. And the nice thing about, the program that I love so much that I'm doing right now is we create that capacity. Most people come to me and say, yeah, that's all great, but I don't have time. I don't have time to focus here, or I don't have time to focus there. I have all of these other things to do. But the reality is that most people don't know how much time they're really spending on things that aren't truly their priority. They're things that they, again, think they have to do. And when we can really dive into what capacity do you have, helping you create boundaries that give you that permission to say no here so you can say yes over here, and a super solid plan to make it easy for you. We need more easy. This whole story of you gotta work so hard to get what you want. No, you actually just need to work a bit smarter and tell yourself it's going to be easy. Every time we tell ourselves something, we prove ourselves right.
Our thoughts
right? If it's going to be hard, you're right.
Yes. I've enjoyed our conversation so much, Ashlee. This has been really, really incredible. I'd love to know, how do you invite individuals to stay connected with you after this conversation?
Yeah. So whether it's Instagram or LinkedIn, those tend to be the top places people connect with me. I have lots of information about the work I do and kind of what I believe, because I think that that's always a big part of it all. But yeah, if you follow me on Instagram or you want to connect on LinkedIn, I'm always happy to chat with people, especially people who are really, intrigued by getting the life they want now and prepared to take action.
Yes, that's key.
Yeah.
That is a key point. Being prepared to take action, right? I love that. Yeah. Well, Ashlee, thank you so much for being here today. It's such a wonderful conversation. And I want to thank all of the people who have listened to this podcast. Please stay tuned to the next episode of Power to the People Pleasers.
Thank you.